Hey, what's happening, you guys? Both on Instagram and on the Icon Blueprint. Welcome to the show. Today, we're going to be diving into recovery. If you're new to the show, what we talk about is we talk about how to be able to create healthier bodies through happier lives. What is that? How do we create a healthier body through a happier life? Well, if you aren't living the life that you want to live, then it's very difficult to have a body that is operating optimally. And so, what we focus on is not just the fitness aspect of it, not just the nutrition side of it, but also the mindset. What you say matters. And if you go back to any of the other episodes or many of the episodes, we talk about the importance of our words. We rewrite the language and the narrative that we've been telling ourselves for many, many years. I just had a client the other day, 65 years old. We went back to a story all the way when she was 12 years old, and we rewrote that story. Tay, what's happening, girl? We rewrote that story. And not only did she immediately start feeling better, but then she was able to be focused on her nutrition and on her fitness. So what we do in this podcast is we focus on those three facets: our nutrition, our lifestyle, and our mindset. And that's how we find healthier bodies through happier lives. So what are we going to talk about today? Well, I'm priming you guys up because next week I got a special guest, the CEO of 8 Sleep. If you don't know about 8 Sleep, you guys, mind blowing. If you struggle with your sleep, 8 Sleep is the top of the line sleep performance to be able to get you the optimal amount of sleep in the shortest amount of time. Now, we're going to be diving in today about recovery, which has to do with your sleep. But first and foremost, let's talk about recovery and why it's not working for you. Why your recovery is not working for you. Here's the number one go. Guys, listen up to me. This is going to be hard. I might lose a couple followers here just on this alone. High intensity workouts are probably not for you. I said it, there it is. Now I just lost a bunch of followers just like that. The reason high intensity workouts such as CrossFit, such as Orange Theory, such as high intensity cycling are not for you is because you're already living a high intensity lifestyle. If you're working 40 hours plus a week, you have kids, you have your own business, you have relationships, you have all these things, you're way up here already. So what are you thinking when it comes to trying to match that with a super high intensity workout? What that does is just breaks you down even more. And if you don't add on any good recovery, you're toast. You're toast. That doesn't mean that you can't have a high intensity lifestyle and high intensity workout. What that does mean is that you need to have appropriate recovery. If not, you are going to get a ton of inflammation. And I'm going to share my story here in just a second of my inflammation from doing exactly that. Here's number 2 when it comes to recovery and why it doesn't seem to work for you. Is that we have a restricted diet because we're trying to lose weight and we're tossing in supplements. So we're restricting our food and we're trying to replace it with supplementation. That is not the base of optimal health. The base of optimal health is making sure we get enough water, and that we eat whole foods. You guys, whole foods. If it doesn't have a barcode on it, go nuts within reason. The packaged food is what we are so focused on, and we just think about eating less of it, restricting it, and then adding in more of that packaged food when it comes to supplementation. We got to be really careful with that. That's one of the reasons why you're not recovering as well and not feeling optimal. And then here's the kicker, right? Here's the kicker. What happens when we try to add more without subtracting anything from our life? We create more intensity. We create more stress. We create more inflammation. We want to lose weight, so we're going to start running more, but we don't take anything away. We want to start eating better, so we're going to start food prepping, but we don't adjust our schedule at all. We just keep adding on to it more and more and more and more. So what does that do? It jacks up our heart rate, jacks up our blood pressure, starts releasing all the crazy hormones that we don't want. And this is going to affect our recovery. So why our recovery isn't working is because a lot of us tend to do high intensity workouts and live a high intensity life. That makes it very difficult. We're going to have high inflammation. We tend to restrict our diet and restrict our calories and try to supplement in. That too is going to affect your recovery because you're not getting the appropriate whole foods that we need. And then lastly, we're adding in too much without subtracting anything out. We just think that we can just increase our bandwidth, but not take anything out. We think we can just keep adding. We're going to get more hours in the day. So if that's you and that caught your attention, you're like, oh man, I do restrict my calories. I don't eat a ton of whole food. I do high intensity workouts. I always seem to be busy and everything seems out of control. Keep listening. So what exactly is recovery? Recovery, as a definition, is a return to a normal state of health, mind, or strength. Health, mind, or strength. So let's break that down. To be recovered, we need to be able to think clearly and precisely. Ever wake up in the morning and feel super foggy? Ever reach for the third or fourth cup of coffee in the afternoon? You are not recovered if this is the case. If you're not able to think precisely, speak precisely, act precisely, then that is a great sign you don't have enough recovery. Okay? Second part, you are prepared to move your body through any given activity. Ever woken up the next day and gone, oh man, I'm supposed to go for a run. But my back, my hip, my knee, my pinky toe. If this is you, guess what? You guessed it right. You're not recovered. Those aches, those pains are telling you that your body is not recovered one way or another, and we'll get to what we need to do to get full recovery here in just a moment. But that's your body saying, yeah, not recovered. Last part, not a lot of people touch on this. You are emotionally and spiritually content with your life. Listen, if you're mentally clear, you physically feel good, you can get into life, but you don't like your life, you don't have a purpose, this is an issue. So, those are the 3 steps to recovery. Mentally, we have to be cleared. Physically, we have to feel good. And emotionally and spiritually, we have to be set and ready for recovery. So what are the types of recovery? This is just a few among many. What types of recovery can we do to be able to get to that definition of returning to a normal state of health, mind, or strength? Here we go. First and foremost, sleep. I know I mentioned earlier in the podcast about 8 Sleep. We're going to be diving into that more next week with the CEO of 8 Sleep. But your sleep is so vitally important. If you don't believe me, read the book Why We Sleep. by Dr. Matthew Walker. It will blow your mind. So sleep is the number one thing, which again, when we were talking about bandwidth, adding in without subtracting, this is usually the number one thing to go. I'm going to start running more, I'm going to start eating better, and I'm going to start sleeping less. Complete opposite thing of what we should do. The next thing is nutrition. Making sure that we're getting the appropriate foods at the appropriate times. If you have no idea what you should be eating, when you should be eating, please let me know. Shoot me a direct message. Email me at joel@iconfitness.com. Let me know. It's not as difficult as you think. I have a 12-week nutrition program that not only teaches you the digestive habits, but also the nutritional habits that you need for a foundational change in your life. We're not just going to hit you with macros or micros nutrients. We're going to teach you how you can bring it into your life. So your nutrition is key. You want to start eating better right now? Start having whole foods at every single one of your meals. Start having whole foods at every one of your meals. That means fruits, vegetables, and a lean protein every time you sit down to eat. Has to be there. If you want to put a packaged food in there, fine, but you can't have a meal without fruits, vegetables, or lean meat. If you do that for the next 30 days, I promise you, you will start recovering better. Next, hydration. Hydration is key. Holy moly. Beyond sleep, hydration is the one that I don't get when I talk to people. But again, it has to do with the bandwidth. I don't have time to drink water. You don't have time to drink water? What? I don't have time to pee all the time. Holy moly. We really got to talk if that's the case and scenario. Our bodies are more than 50% water. We need water to recover. You should be drinking 50% of your body weight in fluid ounces of water alone, just water, not counting your tea, not counting your soda water, not counting your alcohol, not counting your coffee, just water alone. You want to get a majority of that before noon. Because you know why? We don't want to have too much water in the evening, because what is it going to mess up? Your sleep. It's going to mess your sleep up. We mess our sleep up. Now we're messing with the other recovery. We don't want to do that. So get your water in before noon. We want to be able to drink first thing in the morning. You should be putting down anywhere between 20 and 32 ounces of water first thing in the morning. Next, this is a big one. This is a hard one for a lot of people. Stress management. How are you managing your day-to-day stress? How are you managing the stressful situations that come up into your day-to-day life with business, with your relationships, with yourself? If you're not managing that stress well, you know what you put yourself into? A high sympathetic state. You put yourself into a very high sympathetic state. The sympathetic nervous system is the fight or flight. You're running from a saber-toothed tiger. So when you're in that mode, you're releasing this thing called adrenaline, cortisol, which is going to jack you through the roof. Your heart rate's going to increase, your blood pressure is going to go up, you're going to release sugar into your bloodstream, all things that we don't want to do. We want to be in a parasympathetic state. Parasympathetic state is the rest and digest. This is where your body recovers. This is where your body feels good. If you're unable to get in a parasympathetic state, it's very difficult for you to recover, even if you're doing hydration, even if you're sleeping. Okay? Next one, getting outside in nature. You guys, we came from nature. You don't think our body wants to be back in nature? Did you know for the first time ever in human history, there are more people living in cities than they are living in rural areas? First time ever. That happened in 2008. They're saying that 2/3 of the population by 2050 will be in cities. Wonder how that's going to wreak havoc on our bodies. Getting out in nature has shown to be able to help immunity, to help recovery by just going out, even as simple as, check this out, having a window in which you can see nature. Studies showed that patients recover faster and need less pain medication if they can see outside. That's it. Is it crazy? No, it's not. It's not crazy. Not crazy at all. And the last part is breath work. Being able to utilize your breath will put you into that parasympathetic state. Too often we're way up in our chest all day long. What do you think that's doing to your heart rate, your blood pressure, your heart rate variability? It's jacking it through the roof. So now you're back to releasing cortisol, back to releasing adrenaline. You're not in a good place. Being able to stop and breathe will immediately slow you down and get you into a state of recovery. So here are the different types of recovery. So what is the recovery that I suggest? What should you be doing? What's the recovery you should be doing? Here's my top 3 recovery techniques that you can use. All the ones I just explained, super good. These are the ones that I have found not only for myself, but also for my clients that helped tremendously. These 3 techniques right here helped me to lose 15 pounds after I left being in a high intensity gym atmosphere and a high intensity lifestyle. It wasn't just the gym, it was my lifestyle. I lost 15 pounds. I barely changed my diet, barely at all. I actually started working out less. I lost 15 pounds. If you think I'm crazy, go ahead and test me. Shoot me an email, joel@iconfitness.com. I'll show you my before and afters. We can talk about where you're at. I tracked the whole thing on a Whoop. I know exactly where my data was objectively, not just subjectively. So go ahead, bring it, test me. All right, so here are the 3 top recovery techniques that I use to lose 15 pounds, and you can use it too. First and foremost, a lifestyle, stress management. I was living a lifestyle that was constant, 12 to 13 hour a day work days, constantly stressed out, getting poor sleep, eating randomly throughout the day. There was very little control that I had, which kept me in an inflamed state. I was in that sympathetic state all day long, releasing cortisol, releasing adrenaline, releasing all these different hormones that are going to jack or did jack me through the roof. So what is the best way to start managing your stress? Here we go. First, own your day. You have the opportunity to either own your day or the day to own you. It's your choice. You ever get to the end of the day and be like, oh my gosh, I feel like I didn't get anything done. Well, it's because you didn't. You're all over the place. Owning your day is being able to say, hey, here are the top three things I'm going to get done today. And I'm not going to worry about anything else. If you don't know what your top 3 things are that you need to get done, this is where we're going to work vision work. Because you don't know actually your end goal. You don't know your end goal in mind. And if that's you, shoot me an email, joel@iconfitness.com. We will figure that out. We will figure out what the end game is so that you know every single day the direction you need to go. The next thing is have a morning and evening routine. It blows my mind. Nobody has morning and evening routines when I talk to them. We want to have a good way in the evening to down-regulate, get ready for bed so that you feel sleepy and you're ready to have a great night's rest. Same idea in the morning. We want to up-regulate correctly. We don't want to shoot out of the bed because we press the snooze button 15 times and go, oh crap, now I'm late, and you're ripping out of bed to get started on your day. Could you imagine if I woke you up at 2 o'clock in the morning and said, go run your fastest 10K? What do you think your body would do? it wouldn't do very well. That's what you're doing to your mind and body when you're ripping out of bed and not having appropriate upregulating. And the reason that you're ripping out of bed is because you stayed up too late the evening before because you didn't have an evening routine. So getting a morning and evening routine is crucial to getting the best sleep that you possibly can. And then now here's another one. Learn how to say no, guys. If you struggle with saying no, this has to do with something that I talked about earlier in the podcast. You've created a narrative in your head of why you have to say yes to somebody. There's something that needs to be reworked so that you have the confidence to be able to say no, because guess what? You're worth it. You're worth your time. You're worth your investment. And by saying no helps you to manage your stress so you're not saying yes to everything else and running all over the place with your head cut off and get home exhausted because you never said yes to yourself. Remember, when you say yes to somebody, you have to say no to you. When you say no to somebody, you have to say yes to yourself, or vice versa. There is no no without a yes, and there is no yes without a no. Think about it. So that's with your stress management. Now let's go to sleep. Sleep is the next crucial one. I used to only sleep 6 hours a night. Now I average 7.5 to 8 hours a night. One of the best things I could do to help me to start decreasing my inflammation, which helped me lose the weight that I was needing to lose. So sleep, vitally important. Want to know the very number one thing? Go to read the book, Why We Sleep by Dr. Matthew Walker. You know what he's going to say? Go to sleep at the same time and wake up at the same time. That is the best thing that you can do for yourself. You create a natural rhythm to your sleep so that you can actually wake up without your alarm clock. Yes, it's possible, where you naturally wake up on a weekday feeling rested and ready to start your day. Next part of sleep, that is vitally important, is your temperature. When we sleep, our body wants to cool down. That's what gets ready for bed. Your body naturally decreases its body temperature. That's why you find yourself getting colder and colder in the evening. You want to bundle up because your body is starting to naturally decrease its temperature, because that is its best way to get the deepest sleep. By controlling your temperature, and this is going to sound a little crazy for some people, we ideally want to be between 65 and 70 degrees. That's what our room should be. So if you're cranking your heater up into 75 when you're in the wintertime, or you don't have your air conditioning down enough in the summertime, think about this, because it will help you get better sleep. I've tracked it before on my Whoop, and it is game changing. Which is where, again, next week with 8 Sleep, their technology helps to keep you cool throughout the night, which helps to get you better recovery in a shorter amount of time. It's pretty incredible stuff. And the last part with sleep is keep it dark. Keep it dark and keep it quiet. We want to imagine that we're sleeping in a cave. That's what we're shooting for, that you are 1,000 feet down in a cave. So get it as dark as possible that you can. No red lights, no cell phones next to your bed, everything silenced, everything shut out, no red clock in the corner, dark. If you can't keep it quiet because we live in a city, then I want you to either get earplugs or, and the ones that I suggest is Max soft pillow earplugs or something along the lines of that. Those are the best ones that I have found. They're just wax putty. You put them into your ear, it knocks all the sound out. The second thing is to get a white noise machine. By having that white noise, it keeps us from waking up into that sympathetic state. Because back in the day, thousands of years ago, we need to stay in a state of awareness because we didn't want to get eaten by the saber-toothed tiger. It's the same thing still to this day ingrained into us. Even just the little sounds outside, you may not totally wake up out of bed going, oh, what was that bump in the night? But you will come out of that deep sleep, which will affect your recovery. Last part Nature. Nature, you guys. Being able to get outside, your body wants it, craves it, and needs it. There's too much research. You might look at me now and be like, man, I had so much credibility for Joel until he started talking about this granola nature stuff. Might have lost a few followers right there. Could have happened. But trust me, nature is a huge way to decrease inflammation, to increase rest and recovery. So what's one way that you can help your recovery? Get grounded. Get grounded? What the heck does that mean? Get your feet into the grass or into the dirt. Ever sat at the beach all day long with your feet in the water and the sand? And if you're not frying yourself with the sun, right, you have appropriate shade, you actually feel pretty darn good. You sleep good that night. You wake up the next day, you feel really energized. That's because the earth itself gives back to us. Electrons, by our feet being in the ground, come through our body and help with inflammation. Again, you might be thinking I'm granola right now, but trust me on this. Get your feet into the ground. You also want to get your feet out of your shoes. Shoes is the best way to disrupt our feet. It smashes our feet down and it keeps from our feet spraying out. Splaying. Did I say spraying? Splaying out. We want our feet to look like our hands. Gaps in between our toes. If you look at your toes right now, you probably don't have gaps. And that is not a stable foot. The second thing with nature, get sunlight. Get out and get vitamin D. It doesn't take long. 15 minutes a day. Go take a walk. Do it in the morning or do it in the evening. Best time, because it has the least amount of harmful rays. The more skin you can expose, the better. There are some people that get completely naked. If you're getting completely naked, make sure you follow the laws and regulations of your city and code. If you're one of those people that still live in the rural areas and you have the space, you know what? Go for it. But the more skin you can expose, the better for you. Vitamin D is super important and is one of the things that Americans are the most deficient at. Lastly, get outside, walk slowly. We are in a constant rat race, moving fast. By slowing down just the way you walk and the way you talk, you will put yourself into a better parasympathetic state and start with your recovery. Okay? So to cover everything we talked about today, we know what doesn't work. We know what doesn't work. High intensity lifestyle with a high intensity exercise regimen will create inflammation, and if we don't have proper recovery, that's going to do damage to us. If we have a super restricted diet that we're trying to just toss a bunch of supplements into, that's not going to help in our recovery as well. And lastly, if we're adding more than we're subtracting into our lifestyle, you are going to not get that recovery that you're seeking for. We know that recovery is a return to a normal state of health, mind, and strength. That is mentally, physically, and emotionally we want to be there. The types of recovery that we can get is sleep, nutrition, hydration, stress management, nature, and breath work, just to name a few. And my top 3 that I used to lose 15 pounds was 1, stress management, 2, getting more sleep, and 3, getting out to nature, so I brought down my stress levels. So if you are tired of being tired, you've tried all the things, and you're ready to make a drastic change, you can do that today. Not only will we help to be able to adjust your lifestyle so you feel under control, but we will also create a very crystal clear path to the person that you are, the person that you will be, and the person that you'll become. And we will help you with your nutrition in a way that you have never been helped with. We are not going to over analyze or confuse you. we're going to be able to build your eating practice so it's something you can keep for the rest of your life instead of yo-yo up and down. If you want this, if this sounds good, reach out to me, joel@iconfitness.com. You can visit the website, www.iconfitness.com, and you can get a clarity call today. Today, if you're tired of it, if you're ready for a change, let's do it. Let's make the change that you can have for the rest of your life. This is not about a quick fix. This is a 3-month program that we go through that will change you. We will change the way you talk. We will change the way you perceive about yourself. We will change the way you eat, and we will change the way you exercise. If you're ready for this, again, reach out, joel@iconfitness.com, or visit the website, www.iconfitness.com, and book your clarity call. All right, that's it. Join me next week. I have the CEO of 8 Sleep. It's going to be incredible, talking about the technology they're working on and how you can get better sleep. We know sleep is so important. That's one of my top 3. This is a game changer. It is the future of sleep. You will see. Join me next week at 12:30, where we got the CEO of 8 Sleep. All right, guys, that is it. Thank you so much for joining me once again. If you need anything, feel free to reach out, and have a blessed day.